Hello.
Yep.
Hi everyone, very good morning. I think let's kickstart this particular event by a very insightful session with our terrific speakers on the dais, right? So the topic for the discussion today is cybersecurity and business growth, right? So how do you balance this perfect balance between both, right? Cybersecurity has moved away from more being a enabling function or a supporting function in an organization to be more of strategic function, which is enabling businesses to be more profitable and to be more innovative. Right? Gone are the days where cybersecurity was just in an organization just to protect the data or secure data or the infrastructure. But right now it is more of building trust or digital trust within this, like with the stakeholders across the organization, right? So with this, I want to start the discussion with Srini. Srini, in your experience heading cyber at ITC, right? How do you balance cybersecurity investment with business growth, ensuring adequate funding without compromising innovation under budget constraints?
Hello. Hey, thanks for this question. Actually, I would like to start this with implementing something called risk-based approach for prioritizing the cybersecurity investments. What I mean by that is when you know the current risk issues and the requirements, better capture in a common tracker, prioritize this based on the assets and other aspects, and also associate that with respect to business owners for each and every risk or the issue identified, and focus on implementing the solutions for the top risks to start, and where possible you can come up with a roadmap of what we should do for next, let's say 2 years or so as a time frame. That will help you to focus on the right things in the right track, and where possible you try to do some kind of assessments, especially red teaming kind of thing, where it will help you to justify the investments by showing the right evidence of the potential risks that might encounter to us. Second thing, we might have some investments already at respect to tools and technologies. Try to optimize the use of those tools and technologies. Let's say if you have an endpoint protection, let's say CrowdStrike, that might also provide you the capabilities like vulnerability assessment, CSPM, etc. Better use of those tools if you don't have the full-fledged tool for you to start. And the next one is of try to outsource or leverage MSPs where possible to augment your capabilities, where they can also provide you certain cost-effective solution to run the show. It could be of key skills like IR, forensics, where you don't require the skills all the time, but outsourcing capabilities can help you a lot around that. And the last and important thing, you might have a lot of tools for using external surface management, etc. Those tools will definitely help you a lot in providing additional services like doing the continuous assessments of, let's say, network scans, SSL scans, web scanning, etc. These additional value-added services might help you to respond to the threats in a timely manner, also help you to reduce your efforts during the actual external PTs, where number of findings will be limited, etc. around that. So in a nutshell, what I want to say is 3 to 4 key pointers. 1, adopt risk-based approach, outsource where possible, optimize the current tools for your better investments, and leverage external surface management tools to have a more continuous monitoring aspects of your environments.
And terrific response, Srini. I think Anbu, over to you. So Anbu, we have spoken about a lot of skill shortage, or I would say competent resources, right? But with the increasing or growing complexities of cyber threats, how can organization effectively address the shortage of skilled cybersecurity professionals while ensuring robust protection against emerging threats?
Yeah, thanks everyone. I think before I get into the shortage, actually, right, we should understand actually why there is a shortage. As per the World Economic Forum, there is a 4 million cyber professional shortage globally as on December 2024. And if we look into the reason why actually there is a shortage, there are a number of reasons. But the key reasons are, one, actually there is an increase in cyber threats, which means actually we need to be really focused actually in terms of prevention, detection, and various mechanisms. And second, people are not actually updating their skills continuously. Especially if you look at actually cybersecurity, people need to keep updating actually their skills and technologies, which is really lacking. And third, actually, in terms of the awareness training and the workforce development programs within the organization, it is still lacking because they are not able to get trained all the workforces in terms of cybersecurity skills. For example, I was speaking in one of the AI conclave last month. I was interacting with various peers. Many of the people have still not started the AI journey because they are saying actually they are not equipped actually to start. They see a lot of risk and they don't have actually manpower or skill set actually to initiate some kind of secure AI journeys. So they don't have actually AI security people. They not even actually developed a AI security framework. So this is actually interrupting or this is creating obstacle actually for their business growth. And other reason is, right, because of the threats are continuously evolving, there is so much of attacks and incidents are happening, there is some kind of work stress actually or some kind of, I would say, it's a burnout actually for some of the employees, especially in the security operations teams. So people are actually want to go out of actually the cybersecurity professional itself, especially the security operations. They want to move into a different domain. So these are some of the reasons actually why actually there is an increase in shortage. How actually we can address this gap? One is actually we need to develop our in-house skill set. We have to get actually all the existing people cross-skilled or multi-skilled or re-skilled on the new technologies or new threats so that actually they are actually equipped to handle actually all the new requirements, which is either coming from the business or from the regulations or because of the risk and threats. Second, we cannot do everything in-house. Wherever actually there is a lack of skill set, we have to look for partners or we have to outsource actually those kind of services to a third parties so that we can get the best out of it. And third, actually, I would say we also need to think of actually having a better workforce training development program for all the employees within the organization. So HR and talent development, they need to have some kind of dedicated programs where actually they can have a tie-up with some kind of academia or partners like SkillMind who can actually do a upskilling, reskilling for all the employees. This way, actually, they are better equipped to handle all the requirements. And fourth is we need to empower all our employees to focus on upskilling, understand all the latest trends and technologies. They should be aware of what's happening and what actually they need to learn. Because based on their domain expertise, they also need to understand how to apply their technology skills into the respective application and respective business requirements. This is something currently lacking and people need to develop themselves. I think these things like I say.
Absolutely, fantastic. But I think one word I really liked, Anbu, is about the cyber fatigue. Right? People talk about shortage of skill set, but yeah, we should also be accountable for the kind of burnout the professionals are going through. That also might be one of the reasons. But Prince, as a group CIO, right? So you might have seen a lot of challenges in this field. So any thoughts on this?
See, Anbu has been, what he shared is literally the 101 on that topic. I really don't have too much more to add. But I want to go back 2 steps back to what, because this is still ringing in my head. When our MC was talking about the tagline, when have you done something for the first time? A couple of things I want to just correct there, not because of any other reason, because I was very personally connected to that slogan. That was released in 2004 by Emirates. It actually has been part of a marketing campaign called Fly Emirates. And Emirates as an airline has not looked back since then. But one of the philosophies that I learned even at that time was you want to differentiate yourself. So when Mr. Srinivasa was also talking, cybersecurity right now, not only is it necessity, but when I look at the kind of business that I am in, it is also a differentiator. Because unless you're offering the kind of standards, you're able to demonstrate the kind of capability in this space, some of the customers that we work with are not going to continue to do business with me. So I have to be at the top of my game, or my team has to be at the top of my game, which means that the requirements around the capability to be proven through competence, through skill sets, through personnel, through partnerships, that is more important than ever before. So right now the space is such that trying to do everything in-house is not easy for everyone. Trying to build the right partnerships is a good way to go. Depends on the kind of business that you're running. If your business is focused on certain things, what your core competence is, you may not invest so much in the personnel on this side. Because, I will have to candidly admit, I may not be able to offer a career for a guy in cybersecurity in my organization. But I need cybersecurity services. I need it on all levels. So how do I get this to be done? So that's another portion. The other one is, if I hire someone to train them, to take the responsibility of growing them, molding them, if that interest is not coming from themselves, it's going to be a bit of a balance, because I'm going to be leaning towards what my customer is going to ask. It may not be this. So I may ignore the person. So this is where there's another delicate area where some attention needs to be given. And I find, maybe it's my way of looking at things, but I find that a department or a company that is actually focused on doing this for their bread and butter, they will be more focused on getting their people to be the best in the game. And that's the kind of people you want to partner with, because then you're going to be able to leverage off their capability as well.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Prince. So, Arun, over to you. So, how can CISOs keep themselves updated with ever-changing regulations for diversifying or growing organizations?
Thank you, Amit. I see this question a little personal, okay, because this panel is completely full of experienced security professionals through the career, okay. I'm a hardcore infrastructure guy, turned out to be a CISO as well for last 5 years now, okay. I'm just looking back and seeing myself, what made me to become a CISO, and how I'm surviving with such a knowledgeable CISOs in the industries, okay. So it all started from one incident. I've been part of one other organization I worked in the past. They gone through a major cyber attack, working in that attack to retrieve the entire organization, coming back to the normalcy, given me some insight, okay, what an organization lagging in terms of security and what I need to be contributing to that. It all started from there. Then over a period of time, a fellow colleague and another CISO, eventually he's not there, he was in the panel today but couldn't be available today. He taught me a framework, PIC, okay. That framework have completely changed my view about how a CISO has to work, or how you can become a CISO forever and continuously competing with the industry and the colleague. The framework is very simple, not to complicate. Performance of compliance and regulation, keep it aside. Internal communication and training, keep it aside. Continuous improvement on technology and compliance. If one following these three framework, performance of regulation, what is happening in the regulation industry, I mean, we would be speaking on DPDP and the other compliance, based on the industry you are working on, HIPAA 27001, or whatever relevance to your industry, ensure that that particular compliance are always been reviewed and you are on top of that. Participate in such events, have a regular connect with the community, understand what is happening on the relevant community to be up to the mark. So performance of regulation monitoring and then compliance is important. Internal communication. When we speak about the community, it is even more important to understand internally where we are and what we are, how an organization is performing, where the organization is heading towards, how my internal users are, have I trained my internal users to that extent, making them to understand what is important in terms of cybersecurity. Security is not individual CISO's business, right? Security is everyone's responsibility. How one is ensuring that internal trainings and communications are being taken care, keep knowing security notions and then parameters every now and then. And finally, continuous improvement. Continuous improvement on every single thing we do. It could be on learning, it could be on adopting new technology, it could be on implementing the new framework which is applicable for the given period of time. So one who follow this framework, they are pretty much to be a CISO to the industry and the organization, and they can continuously survive for quite a long time. And that's what my learning personally, becoming from an hardcore infrastructure guy to be a CISO of the organization as well. And that's my point of view.
The employees not to fall prey to these kind of phishing, right? So almost all the organizations do conduct the phishing simulations and other exercises such as that. One important point that our friend Anbu talked about is we should do the analytics of that, right? So actually, we found some very interesting analysis, okay, of these phishing exercises and the outcomes of them. So I thought I'll share that with the audience. We find that it is not the the entry-level employees or the junior employees who are actually falling prey. If you look at the percentage of people with mapped to the number of years of experience, I'm not talking about cybersecurity professionals, but generally in any organization, it's not the youngsters, the freshers, up to 4 or 5 years of experience that are falling prey to these campaigns, and it's not the senior leaders also. And with due respect, senior leaders might not even be opening the regular emails, and they may not, so maybe they are not even opening the phishing campaign emailers also. That apart, I mean, we all know, right? If you want to get some work done from senior manager or somebody in the top management, you have to actually follow up, ensure that they open the mail in front of you and then do the action. I mean, on a lighter side though, I mean, no disrespect to the top management, but that apart, who falls prey is that bracket of employees who are in the middle management space. Okay, and there could be multiple reasons. This is how we have to look at it, okay. These middle managers are probably sandwiched between, the top management who is asking many questions to them, and at the same time, these guys have to extract the right kind of work from the juniors. So maybe they are much more sincere in going through each and every email, and when they find something enticing, they'll just go and click, right? So whatever actions that we take based on these phishing simulation exercises, they have to be actually targeted to the kind of work these people are supposed to do. Otherwise, any generic awareness sessions, generic training might not really help. And of course, organizations also have specific measures to do for repeat offenders, right? The repeat victims. So they have to take care of the folks who are falling prey to these phishing simulation more than once, right? Typically, every organization does this phishing simulation every quarter, right? You find somebody who is continuously 2 quarters, 3 quarters, somebody is falling prey, there is something seriously wrong, right? It is not about mere awareness, because after first instance itself, that particular employee would be trained or would have been told that he has been a victim of the phishing. But still, it's happening again and again. So there's something more fundamental to be looked at. So I think these are some of the aspects that I thought I will add to Anbu's response that organizations have to look at if they really want to safeguard themselves and their own employees from the social engineering attacks.
Awesome. Really like that approach, Ashok. Really thanks for that. Anbu, again, coming back to you, again, just bridging on the similar question, what are the critical challenges in protecting companies' data from cyber threats?
I think one of the key challenge, I would say, is exactly right. Data is everywhere now. Earlier, we used to have data only in file servers and databases. But if you see the current situation, we are having or we are storing data in lot of devices, in lot of places, right? We are having the data, especially the company data or the some kind of business data. It is stored in our laptops, stored in our mobile devices. It is stored in various servers. It can be application or web servers. It is stored in data lakes. It is there in cloud. It is there in on-prem. It is there in IoT devices. And even it is there in social media as well, right? And it's also exposed in many of the places in the dark web. So if you see, the data is everywhere now. So because the data is so much diverse, it is very difficult to apply the controls around security and governance. If it is in only one place, it is easy to secure. If it is in multiple places, we cannot apply the same technique or tactic everywhere. So somewhere actually we will lose it. Again, implementing a security control is also not very easy. It's really very challenging. if I could take an example of actually encryption, right? Everyone can say actually just encrypt the data. It is not so easy. Because if actually I want to encrypt the data, I need to encrypt the data end to end. And it is also actually one of the challenges, right? Encrypting data on the devices is quite easy. But also on the transit, if you see actually, right? People say actually you can do SSL encryption. But again, not all the technologies, all the systems actually will support. Many of the enterprises, large enterprises, they are running legacy applications. They are running actually very old systems, which does not actually support actually all this kind of technologies. So doing an end-to-end encryption also challenge for most of the scenarios. So we end up actually having encryption only in a partial way implemented. And third thing actually I would say actually, right, even actually if we encrypt, but still actually we have to store the keys somewhere, right? Either actually you are storing the keys actually within the encrypted PKA or HSM or in the key stores or in some kind of secure places. But the way actually now the open source and the cloud has developed, we are storing the keys even actually in the GitHub kind of things where the credentials and keys are getting exposed. And people are actually able to see actually those kind of credentials and they're trying to misuse those keys to encrypt the data and then compromise the data. This is what actually we have seen in a lot of actually cyber incidents. So the challenges are keeps increasing actually when you come into data security. It is not so easy to implement, but again actually we need to find the way to balance and ensure the maximum protection is available for the data. And the third challenge I would say is actually, right, one is data is everywhere. And second, data is continuously growing. The kind of evaluation of the data we are seeing, right, it is really huge. Because of actually various reasons, we are doing a lot of digital transformations. We are actually automating everything. We are digitizing all kind of transactions and workflows. So which is actually putting a lot of data everywhere. So it is difficult to encrypt all the data. So wherever actually it is not possible to encrypt the data, we need to apply some kind of alternative or compensating controls. So that also creates challenges, depends actually where it is stored. And other challenge actually which I would say is actually, right, since the data is everywhere, doing access management, access control, monitoring, reviews, even these things are actually getting really time consuming and complex. So these are some of the challenges actually we see actually from the data security perspective. On top of it actually, right, the new regulations, for example, in India actually we are getting into DTDC, right, which is more focused on protecting the personal data. So we have to classify the data. Most of the companies don't know where is the data, what kind of data they have, right? And we need to classify and segregate the data so that we can apply some kind of dedicated controls to protect the personal data. So that itself is another challenge. So all this kind of regulations, which is going to create complexity, adding overhead actually for security, and create more challenges actually for all the enterprises.
Right, Arun.
I just want to add a few more things. I mean, data is everywhere. Thanks to data, so that we are having job to do. Okay. So for me personally, cybersecurity or information security is all about data leakage protection. So as long as data is there, ensure that data leak is being protected by all means and methodologies. Okay. So when I looked at my organization data in a personal note, okay, so data is everywhere as well. It is in cloud, it is in on-prem, it is in my end-user system. It is there in the buckets across multiple clouds and containers, right? So data spread across multiple places. Now, how can I protect it? It's a challenge. Then I need to identify a way and mechanism primarily to first classify the data, what sort of data residing where, and come up with the primary assessment. The assessment should primarily speak what kind of threats a particular sort of data can have. Data sitting in cloud, it has a threat of cloud compromise, cloud vendor having a stability issue. Data sitting in my end user laptop, whether laptop is encrypted, etc., etc. Data in various places have various kind of threats. So identifying those listed threats at high level, not even going into the very minute level of threat detection, having threats classified is my priority. Once threats are classified, now to come against the control, what are all different types of control I might have for a different threats or a different varieties of threats. Probably one threat might need more than one control, or one control might able to address multiple threats. Simple mapping of threats and controls. In my personal experience, it all started here. While we constructed the cybersecurity framework for the organization, I personally took 27001 and NIST framework to construct the entire cybersecurity framework. Going back and mapping the data against it, it have clearly definited, okay, you need these technology, this process to ensure that these definite threats to be managed. And cybersecurity is not 100% business. We can never say that 100% I have protected all my data. And when I go back to the board, I normally say, boss, 95% I have kept all the controls in place. Here is the threats, here is the data, and this is the controls. Now, 5% I call it as unclassified threats and unclassified controls, where I don't have any idea in the world what's going to come tomorrow. But we have the guardrails in place that to maximum point of time, I don't give away with my data leakage, or if at all it happens, what is my IRT mechanism so that I jump back faster and ensure that I protect the data leak to a maximum extent and then continue the business aspect. That's my 2 cents when it comes to...
Absolutely love that approach, Arun. Just starting with the basic classification of data and mapping the controls from that, I think it's being more proactive and reactive, I would say both. Ashok, coming over to you, right? So what are the most common cybersecurity attacks on mobile devices, and how can organization mitigate these risks as reliance on mobile technology grows?
See, I believe that the day is not far when the biology class in primary schools and anatomy classes in medical colleges will start saying that among the parts of our body, along with 2 eyes, 2 ears, 1 mouth and a nose, we have a mobile phone also. The mobile phones have become such a part of us. It have become a non-detachable part of us. It has become an identity for us. Many applications on the web, they don't know you as a person, they know you as a phone number, right? You just enter the mobile number and that is how it identifies you. So it has become such an important part of our lives, and compromising it can compromise everything about a person, right? See, we are using today the mobile phones for not only staying connected, which was the initial thing. The concept of phone was to communicate over long distances, but now it has just breached that boundary. You use a phone for your own personal work, to be on the social media, to be, you use phone for finance, banking, you use phone as an identity, right? You use phone for payments on a day-to-day basis. As you go for shopping, I mean, for everything you use a phone. I mean, I don't need to really overemphasize on that point. So, attack on mobile devices is a very, very serious one, I would say. And unfortunately, the people who use these mobile phones, largely they don't even know that they are compromised, right? Very recently, a couple of days ago, we had this news that in Bangalore, somebody just got a brand new mobile phone. It was, given by as a gift. They took the name of a bank and said that, for your banking application, you can use this mobile. You go get a new SIM and you can start using it. So this gentleman fell for it. Obviously, I mean, no point in blaming a single person. 99% of the population, lured by some free gifts, they will go ahead and take them, right? That is how human greed is. But that apart, the SIM cloning, right? One of the very common attack that is employed by hackers, clone the mobile phone in such a way that whatever SMSs and OTPs that you receive, they are relayed to another device, right? The malware injection that happens into mobile phones, it just keeps transmitting whatever key messages that you get, your credentials of various applications that you use on the mobile, the other cookie information that is stored. So all of this information is siphoned out and is put to wrong use. essentially, there is another you who is doing whatever you are supposed to do, right? So it's a complete identity theft that happens. That apart, another very important threat to mobile devices is it comes through what people do as routing, right? So we all go and do jailbreak of our mobile phones, do routing of that. Especially youngsters, they just want to play a game and they see that they can't just play the game without actually purchasing it. And there is a workaround, route your device, and then you don't need to pay for it, you don't need any other controls, you just happily play the game. But they don't understand the risks of using a rooted device, especially for financial transactions and all of that. But what's happening is, it's becoming more complicated. So you take this library called Magisk. The Magisk is a set of libraries. It's a toolkit which can be used by hackers to actually bypass the routine checks that are typically done. See, any mobile app worth its salt, what it does is it does this routing check. It's one of the basic checks that is done by any mobile app. But the Magisk latest version has a certain way of routing the device that the routine checks do not detect that the mobile is actually rooted. So that exposes the mobile phone to much graver threats. And of course, with the advent of AI, it is becoming more and more easy to write harmful or malicious apps. You push it down very easily. So that brings to the point of supply chain, right? Where you get your apps from, right? If you don't trust the source, you should not install any apps from that source. You never know what kind of malware the particular app may be having. If you install from untrustworthy sources, then you're already compromised your phone to that extent. And while legitimate mobile apps are getting built by organizations, even then it's a very, very important aspect to be sure about where you are picking your open source components from, right? See, in fact, very recently, PyPy.org, right, which is a very well-known repository for Python modules, had, Synopsys or Black Duck now has reported 2 libraries which were actually checked into the PyPy repository, but they actually had malware, and they were all this while people were thinking it's a legitimate set of components which can be downloaded and used. And just imagine if you are building an app for a company, for your own company, or for a client of yours, or you have your own product, mobile apps, and you end up downloading such vulnerable components and malware from untrustworthy sources without proper checks, it could again lead to the mobile device compromise. So there are multiple different ways of how mobile devices can be compromised. The attacks are real. We see many real-time and real-world examples on a day-to-day basis. The latest one being how somebody fell prey to a completely cloned mobile device. So yeah, the threats are real and threats are many. The mitigations are again sticking back to fundamentals. I'll just take one more minute because the question talked about what are the potential ways of mitigating it. Sticking to fundamentals is must. Wherever you are downloading the mobile phone from, ensure it is from a trustworthy source. Ensure that you have certain of these malware scanners within your mobile device. Don't ever assume that somebody will do a favor to you. Nobody is doing a favor to you by giving some stuff free. It could be a mobile phone, it could be an application, it could be anything. If they are giving something free, then you better watch out. Then as you build mobile applications as a developer yourself, ensure that you take components and libraries from trustworthy sources. Ensure that end-to-end supply chain is built trustworthy way. Ensure that you scan the applications that you install or scan the applications that you deliver to the marketplace. So all of these, though sound fundamental, there is no alternative to it. Oftentimes, what happens is a big breach is caused by missing of a very simple and very fundamental thing. So yeah, sticking to fundamentals is going to be very, very important.
Just considering the time, Prince, I think last question to you. What are the main challenges of implementing zero trust architecture and how can organization overcome them for a smooth transition and strong security?
The thing is, I should be taking a lot of notes by listening to these gentlemen. If you look at the challenges, the thing is, it starts with giving the awareness to the organization and the key leaders and the practitioners. Why do you even need it? So the thing is, you start approaching it laterally from your own angle, and you try to say, from tomorrow we need to do this, and this is what this is what's going to be done. It's not going to work. It doesn't make sense. And zero trust is not like buying something off the shelf and it's a box solution that goes in there, and we have zero trust from now on. There are some solutions that are in the market which is very closely linked to that word, and it offers a level of protection, but it's not the full solution as well. It really looks at a complete, in-depth study of what you have in place. If I look at my organization, I'm looking at 3 decades of infrastructure in there. That means 3 decades worth of proper legacy plus very modern stuff and everything in between. Now, how do you put one solution that's going to cover all of this? It's not possible. So you need to look at it from the perspective of, how do you really re-architect what you have? Because I think somewhere along the way I was also looking at from some of the conversations, you need to rethink this whole thing. It's not about a solution being offered by a partner or an OEM and you put it in and it solves some problem. That's not how it is. In an enterprise, you need to have a look at what is my cybersecurity architecture today and how is it evolving. And someone also talked about what are my risks here. So if I were to look at my organization in the manufacturing space itself, I've got very manual CNC lathe machines on one end, 2 completely connected Industry 4.0 factories on the other end. Now, in those factories, my security requirement is different. In the other end, it's completely different, and the middle is going to be completely different. So how do I bring layers on top of it that kind of talks the same language? In the space of cybersecurity, you still need to get everybody to some common plane where you're able to say, I'm able to apply these policies, I'm able to push these processes, I'm able to follow procedures which may be different elsewhere. So these layers of approach needs to be really thought through. And it means that you need to introspect, you need to match, you need to map. And it's not about just getting a lot of these logos in there. It's more around start from looking at how do I re-architect the whole thing. And I think from one of the conversations from one of the peers I also heard, you need to fundamentally look at how do you do security by design. You also mentioned about the supply chain part. To me, supply chain is extremely important to me. Now, when we look at supply chain risk, not a lot of people understand this. But if everybody is aware of what happened with SolarWinds and the mess it created, that is in a way a supply chain attack, because somebody else that is bringing it into your organization and you trusted it and it had a back entry. And if I look at supply chain from a physical point of view, I'm working with customers, I'm working with suppliers and subcontractors, and all their networks from end to end, there is a link, there is some connection, there is some data flow. Now, how do I make sure that somebody down the lane is down the chain is compromised, and with the kind of APIs and integrations that I have, that I'm also not at risk. So there's a lot of things that needs to go in there. This is where zero trust comes in. Zero trust is going to be helpful in trying to mitigate this. But at the same time, the start of zero trust goes with really going to introspect, looking at where are the areas that my infrastructure is lacking, where are the areas that I need to modernize, where are the areas I need to bring another layer which is able to talk to this, and solutions that can be linked together, which can give a level of protection which can be consistent. And like you said, nobody talks about percentages. You can't say to the board, I've got 95% covered. You don't say that at all. You just say that I have done this. This is in response to this. This addresses this sort of a concern. The other thing is on risk scores and understanding where exactly you stand. Just in one area, we had done an exercise last week, and it said we are 55% efficient. See, it goes down to something like somebody says, you mentioned CrowdStrike. Not that we don't use CrowdStrike, but I'm saying just putting CrowdStrike isn't giving you EDR. It means putting CrowdStrike the right way. Right, configured the right way, the policies applied the right way, updating it the right way. Then you have it performing and delivering. It's the same thing with one of these products that we looked at, and we said it's at 55%. That means it should be at 100%, but it's 50. It's just an admission that not all products that we have put in place in our infrastructure is at 100%. That itself is something we need to start with. So all of this comes together, and then you are able to talk about zero trust.
Awesome. I think we are at the time. So, but really thanks to all the speakers. I think it was a terrific insights to all of them. I think it's a pleasure moderating this session. So I'll hand it over to the MC to take it over.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.